Hi there, all. It's freeze cracked. Hey, it's super muggy and hot out. I just came out and I thought it'd maybe work a little something. And I grabbed this, and what this is a terrible shaped piece of Rainy Butte's silicified sediment. It's actually fossil wood, but it's silica and iron and everything. It's reddish and it's extremely dense and heavy, like 3 times normal rock. And from North Dakota, and it's kind of weird stuff if you've never worked it. It's like I said, it's a lot more dense, and it doesn't have very good edge quality, so when you braid it, it chips off almost like it's almost like some of the basalt type stuff or other silicified sediments, clay, mudstone type weirdness. It does flake okay though. It's weird because you don't feel like it ought to, but it does. But one of the things that usually messes me up with it is that it's real dense and it takes a different amount of strike than most rock. So if you're not careful, you can miscalculate your strike. This is a small piece. There's mosquitoes flying around out here everywhere too. It's annoying. This is a small piece, and I kind of need to go down here to come up there. I need to go down here to come up there, and I need to go down there to try and come across there. This angle's wrong to come across here. And it's really problematic because I don't want to lose a bunch of everything, length and width. So kind of like, well, what do you do? Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to just lose a little and see if I can make a small point out of what's left. That's the thing, you know, when you're not grinding. This is slippery, and I don't know if you can see the copper all over that because it's just catching and sliding, and when that happens, the force that I'm hitting it with isn't being transferred to the rock. I was trying to go sideways like this to try and get, there's a concavity right there. I was trying to just get me a nice little bevel there that way, but I think because of the slipperiness of it, what I'll do is I'll just go straight down more or less and creep over there with it. And now, so see, I got my little bevel, and that's fine, but I still have this concavity. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to go the wrong direction with it to try and straighten out a little bit of that concavity, and then I'll turn it back the other way. But I want it fairly solid because really I'm getting like one chance at this. And it's not a good chance because you can see the angle is not good because I got to climb a hump right there, and it's real easy to have that hinge out right there. And this isn't the world's best tensile strength material, like I already told you. So we'll see. I'm going to go with a big bopper to try and get a little bit slower hit and try and keep this flake together. And I'm going to lay my finger all along that ridge. And I'm not pushing hard, just laying it along there. What I am doing hard is I'm trying to grab this hard because I want this action to go into this thing. Okay, so it did go into it, and it did overshoot, and it only broke in one spot, and that's what that finger helped with. And it also took off a little bit of that square edge and lowered this quite a bit, and that's about as good as I expected or could have expected for that to occur. And so now I still have my concavity here, but I really would like to see something happen with this. And go ahead and grind that a little bit. And if you ask me why I'm doing this, I'll tell you I don't know. And it's not entirely because I'm just jacking with you. It's actually partially that I don't know. But I do believe it does something. And so now to try and keep this together a little better, I'm going to go with a finer abrader, because sometimes coarser abrader can get things a little too chewed up. And so I'm going to kind of do the same thing I did before and hope for the best, but that really is, that concavity is an issue. So we'll see. But even though it broke right at the concavity, me holding it together forced it to push continuously, and it went on and ran an overshot even though it broke right at the concavity. And that finger laid all the way along it. I wasn't pushing hard, I was just barely pushing. But that finger laid all along it is what kept that going. Otherwise I would have had a step right there. And so that lowered a little bit more. So suddenly it kind of is going from an impossible rock to do much with to being very possible. And I don't know that I can do anything with that because I got a real concavity there now. So this other side though doesn't have that problem, and I still have big old thickness there too. So I'm just going to go ahead and go on that. I'm talking a little too slow and napping too slow though. Crap. And I hit that too tentatively and it hinged out. And tried to keep it there and hit it again, but so me talking and all that kind of stuff, I messed that one up. I'm going to go ahead and hit this, but I feel certain it's not going to work. And it didn't. But the reason I wanted to is it doesn't hurt me to try, because that's not really done me any problems. I think what I would like to do now though is, because this is sort of, see, I got an angle that's the right direction here, but it's a little bit lower than this, and there isn't much surface there. I guess I could try that. Kind of round that off a little bit and get it more solid. So this is going to be one of those things. And see, that took off that thing that I said I wasn't worried about. But sometimes you can come right back after you do one. You do it a little bit at a time. Sometimes you come right back after that and try it again. And I've got two little platforms here. I've got one little platform I could try and do some on this ridge, and I got another little platform I could try and do some over there. I really would rather do something over there because that's where the thickness is. So I hit kind of that direction on that and did some good. Now I'm going to hit this one and put a little bit over there. Hinged it. It had that concavity, and I was afraid I might not get up that hill, and I didn't. I just go downward with it and raise that up and see if that doesn't straighten it enough to where I can get one more shot at it. Yep. And see, all that little stuff is pretty much gone now. It is unfortunate, but what I will tell you is the only reason, this is not an all strategy thing. This is very much an ability thing too. And the only reason I'm able to do what I've just done with those 4 hits or whatever is because I've hit so much over the past couple of years. I'm going obliquely and hoping. I've hit so much over the past couple of years that it's dramatically improved my accuracy. And at first, I think I've said this before in video, but at first I was hitting, you know, my thumb and crap. So I didn't have an instinctive or innate degree of big accuracy or anything. But now, because I've done it a lot, I'm much more able to hit my spot. And you will see me miss sometimes, but I always miss the direction. It doesn't hurt anything. I miss off the thing instead of getting too much of it. Getting too much of it is where you break stuff. But it does help too when you use a smaller billet as far as your accuracy, so it's a trade-off. You know, I use that big one a lot trying to get the results of the power and the slowness. And I'm just nibbling at this partially because I'm kind of, I know I was working a lot, doing stuff earlier, not flint knapping, but cleaning vehicles and doing different things. So I'm kind of tired, and I think that's why I've got the slows a little bit. This is kind of squirrely right in here because of all that noise. So I'm not necessarily going to hit what I just abraded. Well, I need to go up with this and see if I can get it past that concavity that's still plaguing me. Yeah, I got it past it. Didn't get it all the way down, but it did come down to here. Smoothed it out. I can't hit this because that's, well, I can hit it a tiny bit. Sometimes you do that and you just run your little flake into the concavity where it feathers out and dies in the middle of the concavity, because that's all you can do. But you do those little blending flakes. I mean, there is a point to that. It does help to get stuff kind of smoothed out, like that one right there. It took care of a little problem and smoothed out and feathered and blended into this one and that one, and it just kind of flattened in that area. Really, I think those little flakes do a lot more than people realize. Alright, I need to be quiet and make some stuff happen here. I knew that was probably going to hinge, but I'm just trying to get some of the thickness off this. I came and took out most of the hinge. There's still one little piece over there. A lot of what I do involves that. I don't want to talk against, I've kind of talked against convexity some, but I don't want to talk against convexity because some people use it, some very good people use it a lot more than I do. So, and they get the results. So what that tells me is, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat, which I've said before. And I have no desire to get anybody away from anything they're doing that works. what you're doing works, and what I'm doing is different. And keep doing what you're doing, because you ain't got a problem. Those kind of flakes, I always want to try and teach people how to do that, and I don't know what to say about it. That's real steep. I mean, it's not straight up, but it's almost straight up. And I hold it together right out at the edge and hit straight down, kind of not too hard. And what it did was it ran in a perfect flat blender to there and just feathered out instead of hinging. And man, 99 times out of 100, a lot of times people hitting that would hinge it. You got to get it where it won't skate. I mean, you got to braid it, because if it skates, you know, you try and hit up here and it slides down because it skates and catches it right at the edge and jams it up underneath, and that hinges it every time. And people don't understand why that's happening. That's like an exception to all the other types of hinging. There's a number of different reasons stuff hinges. A lot of times it's just not enough hit. We're hitting in concavities and stuff like that. But on a square edge, if it's not quite square, I mean, you know, it's got an angle. Well, actually, this is much better than this. That's a lot steeper. But I try and drive it in at the plane that I want it to take the flake. And if I do that successfully and the angle is okay, then it won't slip, because there's no reason to slip, because I'm going straight in at the angle I want. So it's not downward force. But you see, I just did that again right up on there, and it didn't quite as flat, but it pretty much feathered. And I've eliminated most of that. All right, I'm coming back. Be right back.